Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for being with us. And the Padres Hot Tub community is really the groundswell. It's the force that continues to propel Padres Hot Tub into a new year. We are so thankful to the hundreds of people who help support this podcast, and in doing so, allow us to create it for you 40, 50 times a year, and even more for folks who subscribe to us at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub, patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. If you have not done so and you've been listening to us on the free feed for a week, a month, or years, we humbly suggest that it might be a cool upgrade for you that's a lot less expensive than you think in today's modern society. I tell you what, a plate of eggs, $21, but $5 can get you a month of Discord access, commercial-free podcasts, access to banter, early production, so much more, guys. I think it's one of the best values around.
Yeah, we had a wonderful end-of-year party also with our patrons, and our patron Monty was able to host a wonderful Padres trivia event. And excuse me, it's also worth saying, just for folks who weren't around and listening towards the end of the year last year in November and stuff like that, our group therapy show, which you used to get in this feed, will now only be available to patrons. We had a great experience. I don't know if I would say great experience. We had a emotional experience with the final game of the year last year, where we had a group therapy after. And after that moment, it was like a 2.5 hour long podcast. We kind of resolved that we wanted to have that intimate space for patrons, and we want you to come and join that and be a part of it. So come and join us at patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub.
Just quick looking at the email, says we've had a few folks join in the past few days. I just want to say thank you to Jared, thank you to Robert, and as they keep coming in, we will read your name because we really appreciate you joining the community. On days like today, it was just vital to my well-being, and getting to meet so many folks at our meetups over the break. I had lunch with one of our patrons. Very grateful for you all, and I hope that we get to see more of you in the Discord tub.
Patreon.com/Padres Hot Tub. Check it out. All right, on to the show. Padres Hot Tub, everybody. Craig Elliston, Chris Reed, and Raphie Cantor back with you for 2025 coverage of your beloved San Diego Padres. And now, before we go any further, let's give you in-depth analysis of all of the moves that have happened since our last show on December 16th. Mike Brasso! Come on! Where's the Mike Brasso love?
Are we sure it's not Brousseau?
I'm not positive, but I think I remember it in 2020 when he hit that one home run at Petco Park in the playoffs that was pretty cool for Tampa Bay. And that is Mike Brasso, which I'm excited for what he can do for the Chihuahuas this year. I think he's got a rock solid chance at a 20 homer season.
I can see it now. Our podcast on May 17th, when we think, hey, Mike Brasso has a 928 OPS in El Paso. When is it time that the Padres give him a shot with the floundering, I don't know, Eggy Tiersor platoon?
Is the Eggy left field experiment over?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God.
He's got a K rate of 42%.
Oh no! We re-signed Adam Engel. Oh God!
It is Mike Brasso, and I'm glad you taught me that, Craig, because we're going to say that name at least 3 more times.
I think you're right. No, the Padres haven't done anything, and in the interim, the Diamondbacks signed Corbin Burns, which really sucks. One thing though that Joe Sheehan wrote in his newsletter that I can't get out of my mind, but is actually true, is that the deal the Diamondbacks gave to Burns is almost identical to the deal they gave to Zach Greinke a whole decade before.
Yeah, it's like $4 million more or something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't the opt-outs even structured the same?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible. So, like, I take a little bit of solace in that, and also in some of the metrics that showed declining strikeout rate numbers and how his cutter's efficiency is dropped and this and this and that. But let's make no bones about it. If the Padres had signed Corbin Burns, we would be looking right past those things to the excitement of having another, rock solid starter at the top of our rotation. So the Diamondbacks got better. The Dodgers signed, bargain Ha-Sung Kim. They got him. They just traded Gavin Lux for nothing, which they'll probably flip for more international pool money in about a week.
No, they're not going to do that. They won't need that money. No.
No. Why would they? No, they will. And I think they signed Teoscar back, but we've stood still. The rest of the divisions move forward. We can sit around and sit at the table if change my mind about Willy Adames is a bad signing or Corbin Burns could be on the verge of being overpriced or, whatnot. But we've stood still. Everyone else has moved forward, except for the Rockies. But,
Yeah, it goes without saying. It felt a lot like this last year. We were seeing the Diamondbacks sign Erod, and it doesn't feel good, and it won't feel good, and it shouldn't feel good because you want to be competing.
Well, you might have wondered why. Why is it? What's going on over there at the corner of Tony Gwynn Drive and Trevor Hoffman Avenue? What's happening at Petco Park? Why is there silence? Is there trouble? Is there just a budget? What's going on? Is AJ just bargain hunting? What's going on? You might have asked the same question last year. What's going on? Peter Seidler's passed away. Eric Katsenda, who's that? Is he the real? Wait, he's not the real control owner. He's the interim control owner. Who's going to be the real control owner of the San Diego Padres going forward? Oh, it's going to stay in the Seidler family. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? That's a phrase. That's a sentence. What does it mean? Well, stuff's been going on behind closed doors, in lawyers' offices, in corporate meeting rooms. And then today, January 6th, which I was promised was going to be peaceful.
Transfer of power?
Yeah. Transfer of power, not peaceful in San Diego. As literally during my show on 97.3, Sheel Seidler filed a lawsuit in Texas State Probate Court challenging the new control person situation of the Padres. It was also announced, this was the other Padres thing that happened while we were away. John Seidler of the many Seidlers was named the control person of the Padres. And I think we all kind of collectively went, okay. All right. And now today in a lawsuit, Sheel Seidler is accusing not John Seidler, but two of the other Seidler brothers of specifically selling or purchasing shares of the trust at below market value in order to consolidate enough of the trust to get to the 15% mark to be eligible as a control person. Matt Seidler and Robert Seidler. The lawsuit also has a lot more allegations, including that money that's owed to her has been withheld from her, that the trust has been drained in ways that are against her fiduciary interest as the primary beneficiary of the trust, sole beneficiary of the trust. And it's a lawsuit. It's a lawsuit that's been filed in the state of Texas. Why, you may ask? Because the Seidlers' primary residence is, in fact, the state of Texas.
Travis County.
That's where Austin is. They live in Austin. And here we go. It was dropped. Sheel Seidler penned a letter to Padres fans, a call to action. The lawsuit itself is written in a kind of way. The complaint, I should say, is written in a kind of way. It is written rather dramatically. I've read several excerpts of it through the morning and the afternoon. It is not presented in the dry, legal style that you may be used to if you've read through any of these things before. It is written in a narrative style. There's a lot of color in there, and a lot of it is, quite frankly, disturbing and unfortunate, ugly.
It reminded me of Blake Lively's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni that's currently making all the entertainment tabloid news. Yeah. Just because that's what it's designed to do.
Yes. I'm really curious what you guys have to say. And I just want to say, kind of right off the top, you got everyone probably knows in the audience, but I work for 97.3, The Fan. I work for Odyssey. I host a midday show 5 days a week on the Padres flagship. Odyssey, the corporation, has a business relationship with the San Diego Padres. And as such, there are certain things that are third rail. Talking baseball is not that. Talking about wins and losses and balls and strikes and player moves and even budgets, none of that is a problem ever at all. And I think a third rail is ownership. It's literally ownership. And this is an ownership issue. This is a battle for the future control of the San Diego Padres between two interested parties, both of whom share the surname Seidler, one taken and one given. And it's going to play out over time. Sheel's lawsuit and complaint has been followed up by a statement from the trust, which completely counters what is argued in the complaint and is much more dry and is much more to the point. The point is that Sheel Seidler alleges that Peter Seidler always wanted her to be the control person if and when he passed away. And they say, actually, we have legal documentation which shows Peter Seidler's desires, and he did not include Sheel Seidler in those legal documents outlining what would happen with the control person and the trust. So I'm not going to get really, really deep into the weeds of the complaint. There's a lot of things that I find salacious, and if proven true, I'm going to have a lot to say about. There's also a lot that's really ancillary, if not completely tangential, to the crux of the matter, which is, has this trust legally and fairly been decided the way that gets it to one Seidler, John Seidler, as opposed to Sheel Seidler? Sheel says, no, it should be me. The trust says, no, this was done right. And it goes to John. And guys, this is ugly, and it's going to hang over the 2025 season, period.
Yeah, she is suing Michael and Robert, Mike and Bob, who appointed John as the team control person. I believe Mike right now is the trustee of the trust, whereas Robert was in the immediate aftermath, and so she's suing both of them. But John's not in the suit because he's just the control person rather than the trustee. Just so we know who she's suing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, again, I'd like to open up the stage. I want to hear anything you guys have to say. This is an independent show. This is not an Odyssey podcast. I just wanted to make clear that I do have a day job, and talking about ownership, I'm going to be the same way I am. I think I was fair on the air today. This broke during my show. It was we were obnoxiously, but understandably, forced to embargo until we got a Padres statement, so that we weren't presenting one side of a story. The statement we waited for wasn't worth the time we waited, but it left us in this spot where we were like basically whistling while the fire was going on behind us. Like, enjoy this juggling man. But I never approach this job in a dishonest or bad faith fashion, and I'm just saying I don't feel comfortable going through and going like this allegation, that allegation. I'm team this person. I'm team that person. This is going to play out. I'm a Padres fan. I want the team to win. I want it to be successful. And I don't love this day. I can't stand this day because this is a day that is nothing about the Padres' success.
Well, boys, I spent our break looking at something that's been on my mind, and that's the idea that this team was inherited. And that circumstance rarely bodes well for fans hoping to see teams increase their spending or go out and sign high-priced free agents. It just doesn't tend to work that way. And Craig, I thought you guys did a really good job. If you'll remember, another inherited team, the Baltimore Orioles, just last year suspended their announcer, Kevin Brown, for daring to confirm words that were put up in a graphic on the broadcast. So, just my opinion, Craig, is you got to do you, man. And there were like this lawsuit is very sensational. It reminded me a bit of the Blake Lively thing, but it also reminds me of Meghan Markle. And the lawsuit actually has some language kind of drawing those parallels, in that the Seidlers view themselves as like, fiefdom lords, and this is their inherited right to be the team. And there's weird allegations of racism from ancillary members that aren't the stakeholders involved. It reads very much of like the stuff we get in tabloids. Sheel Seidler, it should be noted, is a lawyer. She is a practicing attorney with the Seidler Family Trust, so none of this is unintentional.
She may have written this complaint.
It's possible.
Herself.
It's within her abilities, man.
I feel like I think a lawyer knows when to hire a lawyer.
I would think so too. No, you're right. Yeah, I had heard that she was lawyered up. I don't know. It's just, but wouldn't you agree? It's very, Raphie, that I was very surprised by the style of the writing. I found it to be narrative style. I thought it to be trying to be persuasive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Let me just start by giving my boilerplate, which is that, in a sort of Rumsfeldian manner, I texted you guys. We have the known knowns and the known unknowns of this, and the known, really, the only thing we know for sure is that this is bad for the Padres. Like, just straight up,
it's Succession, baby. It's the Roy's.
It's not good, And if you watch Succession. When fucking not what's Kieran Culkin's character's name in
Roman?
When Roman buys his little Scottish football team and he goes in there and he clearly knows absolutely nothing about soccer, or he buys the wrong team, in fact, is part of the plot point.
He buys his dad's rival.
He buys his dad's rival, actually. The known is that this is not something that you want happening to, in the background of a team. I would say the known unknowns that we have right now are what the countersuit, which I think inevitably is going to be the countersuit from the Seidlers towards Sheel, is going to contain, and what discovery is going to be in that process. And also, like, basically what has been said and what is going to be said is actually true. And that's going to take months of litigation.
Yeah.
It's going to be very expensive for everyone involved, and that's less money to be spent on the team, frankly. And so that's a downside. And, we are obviously already seeing hashtag Team Sheel stuff pop up from fans. I think that the way that Sheel went about this was obviously quite intentional to try and to gin up fan support. I don't blame her. I'm just saying that's why she did it in the way that it was done. There was a tweet that has now been referenced a lot where she posted a quote from a Yellowstone episode in like October or November. And it was...
I remember trying to talk about a Yellowstone tweet on this very show one night.
Yes, exactly.
I forgot about that. What happened?
Tinfoil hat corner is coming back on Padres Hot Tub. And it's a quote, something of like, "I will die trying to defend the Alamo of my husband's thing."
yeah.
I butchered it at this point.
Accurate.
And then she replied, it was like, "Just so you know, this is just about Yellowstone coming back," or something like that.
Yeah,
like, right. I don't know. Doesn't seem like it was really about Yellowstone. So of course, like, this is like the result of months and months and months of things happening. Like, this has been happening under the surface since Peter Seidler died. And so, the fact that it's come to this point means that they could not settle this out of court, and they've reached an impasse, and that this was essentially the next step for Sheel to take. So, the
report, the team's announcement, the team statement that the Union Tribune claims was given to them in response from questioning from Kevin AC from 2 weeks ago is what prompted this, and that's the John Seidler announcement. Sorry to interrupt, Raphie.
No. I was just going on. I will say, I said this to you off the air, but I will just say it on the show because I don't give a shit. I've seen some people post that in the hashtag Team Sheel camp that, like, well, a lot of these Seidlers are Dodgers fans, so like, how can you trust them? And like that, like making some sort of character judgment on them and what they're going to mean for the team. I mean, of course, if you don't already know at this point, the Seidlers are descended from the O'Malley family, who moved to the Dodger franchise from Brooklyn to Los Angeles and owned the team for many, many, many years. So of course there's a Dodgers connection there. That's number one. But number two, this is an investment for the Seidler family. So I don't think that, like, they're not acting based off of like, oh, like this is some weird old family fandom thing. Like, no, this is hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on the line for them. And I don't know about you guys, but if someone was like, hey, here's $500 million, but you have to be a Dodgers fan, I don't know how long
I'd say
it would really
no, and how dare you?
Yeah, I would say, frankly,
and anybody who says otherwise is going to be in for a lick spittle.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
We will be doing witch trials on the lawn of the Gallagher Square for anyone who would accept that offer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's our catch and kill level on Patreon?
It's only $5 million, actually.
We don't have to become Dodgers fans, though. We don't have to become Dodgers fans. Like, we don't have to walk out wearing Freddie Freeman jerseys.
Have we talked about the 50 million level, though?
So, the Padres have a $2 billion valuation as a franchise. Yeah. So by my rough math, that is 1/4 percentage point of an ownership stake for us to get a catch and kill level. So if the Seidlers are interested, let's just say this. We can talk about this lawsuit as much as you guys want on the air. All it takes is 1/4 percentage point of this to just get us to shut our mouths.
Yeah. We'll talk about coaching decisions. We'll talk about Rule 5 draft picks.
Yeah. You don't have to let us into the owner's suite, which apparently is part of this lawsuit.
I mean, listen, I don't know. I'm not going to take a side here or there. Now that we're getting into it. No, okay. This is, look, it sucks. And Padres fans of only a modest length, remember what this franchise was like the year or two, I would say 2 years, 08, 09, that were semi-consumed by John Moore's divorce.
Guys, this is not dissimilar. This is a divorce within the family. Relationships that may have been facades for the past year are gone, and whatever they were before while Peter Seidler still lived, they're all gone. This is a divorce.
I think it's really hard for an organization to have top to bottom synergy in a situation like this. The good news is, for all of our Padres fans listening, if you want to have now listen, for those in Doomerville, just accept the W. You had a good day. Okay? Great day in Doomerville. One of the top days in Doomerville. Like, I hope you all really dug in and had some great posts and hopefully some really funny memes, maybe some GIFs along the way. I hope it was sparkling in Doomerville. You had a whale of a day. Please don't rub it in all of our faces outside of it, but you had a great day. Cool. If you would prefer not to believe that everything is fucked forever, here's good news for you. AJ Preller is like crazy and not exactly connected to the social universe in the way that you might expect someone of his stature. And the baseball operations side is going to continue. They were instructed to cut $100 million from the payroll last year. They did it, made crazy trades, won 93 games. Do they have the resources to make the same trades? No, they don't. They don't. But do they have 2/3 to 3/4 of a really, really good team? They do.
Mm-hmm.
And building off 2/3 to 3/4 of a really good team is way better than having a really crappy team that you're trying to add to, like the Angels. The Angels that have added this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, but they suck. So you're hoping that it all comes together and you might get to 500 or something. The Padres baseline is 500 or something. And then they're trying to build off of that. Now, if you want to think that they're going to sell everything in sight and then they're going to move or whatever, like, feel free. Do you, man. Do you. But I'm not going there. I think this team is going to show up in Peoria intending to win. I hope the front office has the ability to make a few moves to put this team in a better position to win. I will be pissed if they don't. I will be pissed if they don't make those moves. This is going to be in the background the rest of the way. But I pray it is not in the foreground the rest of the way. I think this franchise can operate while this stuff is happening. It's going to have to.
It's going to be hard for the Seidler brothers to maintain that they are for them to win this PR battle. Like, for instance, had they paid one of the top 15 free agents to come join the Padres next year, if they would have went out and gotten us a starting catcher, said, hey, AJ, get us the best catcher on the market, whoever you think, you're offering Danny Jansen, 7/2, go ahead and up it to 10, man, get him, let's lock that down. If they had done this, I feel like there would have been a little bit more goodwill towards the current regime in charge of the organization, and they have not done that now 2 years in a row. So that would have been a really easy way to get some good graces in your favor. I can't be too rosy about it, dude. Like I said, I spent all week looking at Nepo baby owners. Of the 5 that have done it, 4 of them have seen their payroll go down, and 2 of them, like, huge. It's a different situation all around, but we want to see a championship team here in San Diego. That's what Peter Seidler promised us, and that's why Sheel is using that language in all of her complaints, because she knows it's what we were promised. This is our end of the deal, is we want a team that will compete against the highest paid teams in the league. Like, we got that for a little bit, and I'm an educated fan. I think I'm a reasonable fan. I don't expect that forever out of the San Diego market, But I also know what I've seen. Like you talk about that 2008, 2009 time, and it's terrifying that we might go back down there. And I don't blame the Doomers for chewing into it a little bit, because it's kind of like the worst case stuff. Like if a year ago you were talking about the worst case stuff, we're kind of seeing it. We really needed a seamless transition to feel great about a legacy continuing on. And the team talks about Peter's legacy a whole bunch, but what I'm seeing right now is a bunch of rich people wanting to fight for every last dime they possibly can without considering that legacy. I think if the majority of the people in this family were worried about that legacy, a really precious thing that Peter Seidler created, we wouldn't entirely be here. And that's not towards Sheel or the brothers directly, because I don't know. Like you said, we saw one 97-page document laying out one side of this affair. And I think Sheel's been on a campaign to win our hearts and mind, and I think she's done that very effectively over the past months.
I just need to jump in here because I think one thing that is different about this family dispute than what happened with John Moore's divorce in 08-09, and forgive me for invoking their name in this, but it's relevant to this conversation. The Spanos family and the lawsuit in which the sister was suing Dean, is that was a situation where both of those situations where money was needed and the team either needed to be sold outright or a portion of the team needed to be sold to basically generate enough money to buy the person out who no longer was interested in ownership. And in this situation, Sheel wants to control the team. Sheel wants to control the Padres and wants to be in a position to be making decisions for the Padres. And this is now this is my conjecture hat now. I know nothing about this. I'm just going based off of vibes. So let me just put that out there. But to me, it doesn't seem like the remaining surviving Seidler siblings are super interested in we really want to be the owners of the San Diego Padres, and we're huge Padres fans. And no, to me, it feels like they care about their investment. And in that regard, they don't want Sheel, someone who believes in Peter's vision, which included signing massive contracts, which leverage the team in some ways, to be the person that is in control of the organization. I will briefly comment on the thing, Chris, you were talking about inherited team wealth. Frankly, a lot of the reason why those teams don't fare well is because much of the value and the net worth of the family is tied up in the team. Yeah, so they don't have outside money. That's what happened with the Spanos, and that's what happened with the Davis family, with the Raiders and everything. And then those families can't compete with a Steve Cohen, who comes in with $20 billion. And the team is actually a minute fraction of the overall wealth of an individual. Yep. And so the longer that a family's worth is tied up in the team, the less that, especially in a sport like baseball where there is no salary cap, the less that they will be able to compete going forward. I don't know that that's exactly the situation with the Padres right now, because the Seidlers only came into the team relatively recently. But I can see where that would potentially portend issues down the road. Just to put a button on my point before I throw it back to you guys, that's kind of where I'm standing now. Sheel's obviously made the hearts and minds play right now for the fans' affection, which I think is of value in this situation. And I think that clearly the response from the Padres and from the Seidler sibling side of things, they are trying to, obviously, what else are they going to do but just vehemently snuff this out? And I don't know. I think this is going to be basically kind of as ugly as Sheel wants it to be.
We found that out today.
Yeah.
And that's maximum ugly.
Yes,
Yeah.
maximally. Like, she made insinuations in the legal document of an in-law, the spouse of one of the trustees, being like having substance abuse issues and mental health issues. It's pretty gnarly. And just to kind of boost up your point there, Raphie, about how she wants to be in control of the team and she wants to be a person who's central to it. And who knows what the family does, but they view it as an investment. This is from the statement the UT got, that Padres reporter Kevin AC got out of the team 2 weeks ago before all this came to light. Since Peter's passing, Eric Katsenda serves as a control person. Blah, 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 blah. John will be the next one. Peter never viewed the Padres as his team. Instead, he saw the team as an asset of the community, of which he was a faithful steward. John shares Peter's vision and will continue to strengthen and nurture this great franchise, its fans, its players, and employees, and the entire community. Never viewing the Padres as his team was very interesting wording at the time, and now it becomes even more interesting because they're trying to assert that it's some sort of entity and not a person's thing, whereas Sheel is obviously saying, it's hers. And she also uses the faithful steward line too. But she also talks about wanting to win championships and invest with them a little bit more than the team's official communiques put out there.
Yeah. And I just want to say one really small thing quickly, which is the initial feeling I had when I read all of this at, I don't know, 11, 12, whenever you guys were on the air, Craig, which was my feeling is it's a really bad look to have a bunch of old dudes telling a woman to shut the fuck up. Like, and that's certainly what the lawsuit is alleging. And as me, Padres fan here, I certainly don't want to be in support of an organization that is acting in that manner. So I don't know if that's actually happening because, again, that is a known unknown of the situation of what's actually happening and, like, what's the Seidler countersuit going to be and, like, yada, yada, yada.
Well,
but my feeling was yucky, yuck, yuck. And I sure hope that that isn't the case.
Well, and Major League Baseball has this on its hands. It has these old white dudes with like legacy wealth from generations past, baseball royalty, whatever, against a minority lady, woman of color. They don't have any control person that looks anything like Sheel Seidler. So there's so many angles to it. I like it. My gut reaction, Raphie, is that I wish we didn't have to deal with this. I wish, Camelot, that we said this when the day Peter Seidler died. Camelot died with him. We reiterated that when Juan Soto got traded. And Craig, you put it really well in that episode. You said, we were sad for a reason. We were sad because we lost Peter Seidler and his generosity and his warmth. But he also did something that literally no other owner was willing to do at the time. Steve Cohen has more money than you can possibly imagine. Buying Juan Soto is nothing to him. That is not the case for Peter Seidler. He's a relatively modest, wealthy guy, according to Major League Baseball standards. And he said, to hell with all that. I want to win. This is how we're going to try to do it. It takes money. It takes vision. And it takes everybody moving in lockstep. We don't have people moving in lockstep. This is a very bad scenario for the Padres. And in the lawsuit, in the complaint, Sheel says that Michael was making overtures to sell the team, and she also used the word relocate to try to really piss us off.
Yeah, and
that makes no sense.
Yeah, and it was conjecture.
Yeah.
It was pure conjecture.
Yeah, conjecture.
And perhaps relocate is the actual verbiage.
Yeah, but she did, the verbiage was discussions to sell. And guys, I don't know what that process looks like. I don't know who's in the market to buy a big club team. I know Stan Kroenke liked the area. I know it would be a lot of fun if he came down here and drank Dean Spanos' leftover milkshake. if he was willing to invest in it. But that's kind of where I go.
Well,
I start,
look,
Fantasyland, Craig. It's all I got in this, man.
We're a million miles from anything right now.
Major League Baseball has to approve a control person. That's going to be the next action we see on it. Either there's like some sort of court injunction to the process, or Major League Baseball says, yes, we accept this application, Padres. John Seidler is now the control person.
Has that not already happened?
It has not already happened. I have not seen it reported happen.
That is still pending approval, is what the last report was. So, yes, MLB can stick their nose in this as well, and probably the first way they will is, guys, get it together. Figure something out. Oh, you can't do that? What can we do to try and get you down to a road to resolution? I can only imagine that being MLB's situation, because the last thing they ever want is mess on this side.
Yep.
The only other thing I really want to say, and again, the complaint is it's bothersome. It's disturbing. A lot of the allegations in there, if proven true, are very disappointing. Very disappointing, and that's speaking very mildly. But the crux of it is a Texas state probate court discussion about process. It's about process. It's about whether the laws were faithfully executed in terms of acquisition of shares, and to whether what was legally placed in, put in place was executed. And when you have the facts on your side, you make a factual argument. And when you don't have historically, when you have the facts on your side, you make a factual argument. When you don't have the facts on your side, you make an emotional argument. And I read an emotional argument that was responded to in a very factual, dry manner. And
I want to point out, Craig,
what's that?
I want to point out one thing that is a little bit of a push for this, but because we have in our Discord, we have patrons who are acting attorneys in Texas with this field of specialty, who know the judge who will go in front of, who could potentially see this case. And it could be written for that as well. Like, we know it's written for the public. It also could be written for specific eyes in the process. We just don't know.
We don't, and we won't. And if you think you know, you don't know. I mean, Raphie said it so well. What happens when the countersuit comes out? Do we automatically assume that that's bullshit because the first thing you read is the thing you believe? Or I don't know. Sheel Seidler is an emotional figure who is sympathetic. By nature, she's a widow of a person that we all loved. She has been out there supportive of the club. She's not the control person of the San Diego Padres. And this is gonna play out. And we, the fans, slightly feeling like kids of divorce, are left to try and enjoy the games and hope that the team wins. I think this is a damper on that. It doesn't mean that we're going to have a losing season, but I don't think this is good for the good ship Padres. I don't think this is a bet, as you said, Raphie, the one known. This is not good. There's no good that there could be an ultimate good that comes from it down the line, maybe, hopefully. But I want to support this club going forward, and I want to talk about the baseball of it, and I hope that there's some baseball to talk about in coming weeks, and that we're not just continuing to talk about allegation, counter-allegation, lawsuit, counter-lawsuit, and oh no. I don't love this in the context of somebody who is showing himself to be a very particular free agent for recruitment, who's offering homework assignments and scheduling, specific interview periods. I don't feel like this helps.
Yeah, but you also already pointed out that baseball operations doesn't have to do with this, and I don't.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, like,
and that was the
that
number one
decision's
thing I
made.
saw today at work was, well, we'll never get Sasaki now.
No, it means
Well, it's
nothing.
over now.
Not
well,
nothing,
it's
but-
all done now. Why would he come to a mess like this? Well, you're too close to the trees. You're too
Yeah.
close to the trees. But then again, 10 days from
Doesn't
now, we
help.
could be doing the Roki just signed with the Dodgers podcast, and it's not going to be a happy day. And we're going to all want somebody to blame that day too. But the fact is, one thing could have nothing to do with the other. So one of the things I've really learned the older I get, and I'm 52, by the way, not 100, just in case you thought out there in the audience, but is that quite often uncomfortable truths are the ones that you have to inspect. Like, we all want things to be the way it is in the video game growing up. We all want things to be the way it is in the fantasy that we watched growing up, the scripted universe that we'd love to live in. But sometimes there's just uncomfortable truths that are out there that are part of the reality of the fabric of life. And you can deny it, or you can scream about it, or you can figure out how to work through it. And I hope the Padres figure out a way to work through this, because I think they got a pretty darn good team coming back with a chance to be a great team. And I hope we have like $1 to sign a catcher, or maybe, a pitcher or something.
Buddy, you just said it. This is like the beautiful thing is that what Peter did, like, that stadium was full for 2 consecutive years because people showed up to see what he built. And we want that story to end the one way we'll feel good about it, which is the parade on sea and on land. And, if this is the movie that, we want written and produced and developed and made, that's the ending. And this chapter is meaningless or barely in it whatsoever, but it's certainly not going to feel that way in the coming months. And we're not going to be the place that puts out the content, dialing into all the gossip of this. You guys are welcome to take in all the Padres content you need anywhere else, but we're not going to be the folks to do this. My take on it is, I wish it weren't happening, and Major League Baseball has a lot of power here, and I hope they exercise it judiciously. They don't have a lot of my trust. And Manny Machado's a very good baseball player. Fernando Tatis Jr. is excellent. Xander Bogaerts could be good. Jackson Merrill we get for 4 more years.
At least. Come on. You said 4.
5.
We get him for 5.
Yeah, but we get him for 5. It's just 4 of them are arbitration, and then as he starts making more money
in this economy. Yeah, we do. Look, not fun, not cool, not great, not what I wanted to see on this Monday, January 6th. Not what I was looking forward to in any way, shape, or form. Coming back to work after 2 weeks, everyone all happy, and then an hour in, Braden's like, "We got to take a break. We got to take a break right now."
Oh, no,
God,
no.
That's literally what happened at 11:11. He was like, "We got to take a break." I'm like, "Oh God, what?"
No.
And then we saw
11.
Yeah, and then we saw the Seidler. Yeah, wish upon us, make a wish, right? Yeah. But that's where we are. That's where we are. We don't get to pick. We just get to experience the next day. And going forward, I still think we've got a good team. And I don't give a shit. Who cares about that? We'll come back, and the next thing that happens, we'll talk about that too, because we're all in this together. So we'll figure it all out next time.
Change the narrative, Padres. Just go out there and put some of that greeny to work. Bring us Max Scherzer.
Or don't.
That would change the narrative.
That would change it.
Or don't. Just a quick timeline update for people. Roki Sasaki can't sign until the 15th.
Yes.
So we will be recording at least one more time before the Sasaki window even opens. So it's silly season kind of until then. Like, we'll have a show for you next week. Like, we post up, we always post, like, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, I will be shocked if the Padres do anything of significance between now and the next time we talk to you. And then hopefully after next week's show, then we'll get a Roki Sasaki answer. One thing that I think that the Padres might do in the coming week to 2 weeks
John
is they
Heyman?
might... What?
John, are you going to do some John Heyman tweeting right now? Never mind. I derailed you.
No, I was just going to say they might make some moves to get more bonus pool money.
Yeah.
Boy, that'd be nice. At least that would lead me on. I'd be
Yeah.
excited to be led on in that way.
I saw today that they've already got a handshake deal in place with the kid for $2 million, which of course could go away. I was going to say we might be talking about Luis Arraez because what John Heyman tweeted this morning, and he kind of debunked it, but Passan tweeted that the Padres and Yankees were close to Arraez, and that's what I thought.
That they had talked. I think they just said they had talked.
Yeah, but
I don't think they said they were close.
Talking, Craig, and then you're ordering a pizza.
My question is, because one thing, okay, here's a known. The Padres front office does not leak. So the reports were coming from the Yankees front office.
Yes.
So my question is, why do the Yankees want to leak that they are trading Luis Arraez? Now, there's kind of the cynical point of view that I have that like a lot of these front offices and GMs are kind of just using these reporters at this point to like beta test their trades with the public and just see like what the reactions are going to be.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that these people that are making the decisions are smarter and braver than that. They might not be. But I can't really think of another reason why they would want to leak it. Like what do they like? It's not like there's like leverage they're seeking to get with the Padres because we don't know what's on the other side of the deal. So what is it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's they also want Wandy Peralta, but we're playing really tight.
Oh. Well, yeah, when the Luis Arraez for Jason Dominguez trade comes down, we'll react to it at that time. Until then, let's put a bow on this one on a really bummer way to start the new year. I was hoping to just come back and complain and make a lot of Mike Brasso jokes, and we did knock out the Brasso joke early, but then we wound up with the rest of this. So let's hope for better days ahead. And until then, for Chris and Raphie, I'm Craig. Go Padres!